So many people ask God to use them, to make them a vessel for good, to bless them so they can be a blessing to others. And then when he gives them an assignment, they back away. It's uncomfortable. They don't want to do it. It doesn't benefit them. It only benefits the other person in the assignment. And this is, don't ask God to bless you if you aren't willing to bless others. Don't ask God to enlarge your territory if you are not willing to go in and do the work that's required. There's so much talk, there's so much chatter, there's so much chit chat, there's so many people that say they want to do this. Oh, I'm the salt of the earth, or I'm these things. And it's like, this is just so much talk, especially in the church. So much talk and very little action. And if you want to do something big in your life and you're going to ask the Lord to use you to make a difference in the world, you have to be prepared for those assignments, because 99% of the time it's something that it's different than what you actually thought. It's uncomfortable. It stretches your faith. It builds your character. It builds your patience. It builds your perseverance. It builds so many different areas in you and in your journey and in your faith walk. And so don't ask if you're not willing to do the work. As soon as things become uncomfortable, people retreat. We back up. You have to remember, the armor of God, there is no backing. There's no retreat in it. Every part of that armor is for a purpose, to go forward, to do what he's called you to do, to have dominion, take territory, subdue the earth. He tells you to occupy until he comes. So occupy means you you engage in transaction. You're busy doing something. You are fruitful. He wants you to be fruitful and multiply. This is an action. And when you blend that action with faith, it's like prayer and research. You can't just be, well, I'm just going to sit behind here and pray and not do anything. Yes, there's a point sometimes where God wants you to back up so he can make a move on your behalf and he can fight battles on your behalf. But if your whole life is just sitting and waiting, it's not going to get you anywhere. But if your whole life is also doing it all by yourself and you don't want it has to be your way or the highway, that's also not good. It's prayer and research. It's wisdom and discernment. It's action, it's movement, but it's also moving with that rhythm and that spirit and that discerning. And so if you want to do something great in your life and you're asking God, use me to make a difference. There's a lot of hurting people. There's a lot of starving people. There's a lot of people struggling with areas. How can I be a blessing? Be prepared that he's going to put you through some tests, and he's going to put you through some seasons that are going to be really uncomfortable. He's going to put you in areas to force you to grow and put you in situations. A lot of people say, well, God doesn't give you more than we can handle. That's not biblical at all. He always gives you more than you can handle, because he comes in. If it's only what you can handle, if you can do it all on your own, you don't need him, And so there's always more than you can handle, because he steps in. He is the way maker. He is the helper. And people get that verse mixed up with, carrying burdens and things like that, which is a whole nother thing about carrying other people's burdens. Now, I'm not saying go and carry somebody's load. For example, let's say somebody has an addiction with drugs and they're constantly needing something, but they're not willing to change their ways or their habits. That's not help. By you helping them, you're not helping them succeed. You're not helping them do better. You're actually enabling them to continue on the same path and the same patterns and the same behaviors that got them there. All you're doing is enabling them. You're becoming an avenue, a resource for them to continue on. This is why I have a really hard time when somebody's on the side of the road and clearly they're not working or they're not doing something, and they're drunk or they're on drugs or something like that. Now, I know that there's reasons that got them there. I understand, and it's hard I'm sure it's hard for them to change, but it's better to give to an agency to help those people than it is to give those people, because the first thing that they're going to do is do what feeds the habit, the pattern. It's like a pattern, a habit. It's a familiarity. It's a familiar spirit is what it is. And that's what keeps them doing the same thing over and over. And so you have to break those patterns and habits. Somebody's burden When the Bible says carry each other's burdens, that means that person's going through a hard time, a difficult time, a financial loss, maybe losing their house, maybe their spouse died, maybe they're getting a divorce, maybe they lost their job. You are helping bridge a gap between the season they're coming out of and the season that they're going into, because you know that God's got a call on their life. That's a big difference. You are becoming a resource for good. You are becoming that vessel, that blessing. Out of what you've been blessed with, you're able to then bless that person. And the Bible strictly talks about those who are stingent lose everything. And so that's the burden, carrying each other's burdens, not carrying their load on things that they're not willing to do themselves. This is why a lot of people who are in need don't look it. A lot of people who are going through something, they may still show up. The single mom that's still showing up to work, who may not be asking anybody for help. It's your job to discern, God, where can you use me? And then when he shows you, do it. Be obedient. When you're not obedient, He's gonna remove those areas. You're not a trustworthy person with those assignments. He's gonna give them to someone else. And with those assignments come blessing. Obedience is more powerful than sacrifice. And if you aren't obeying what God's doing in your life, or what he's trying to bring you through, or the assignments he's given you, he's gonna give them to someone else. And the opportunities that go with that as well. So you have to be really connected. And you have to be willing and able to say, okay, I told God, use me, send me. That's that big thing. People are like, send me, Lord. Okay, he's going to send you. Are you really ready to do? Do you really know what you're asking, I guess? Because most people have no idea what they're asking. They're asking for him to send them. They're asking for him to do something great in their life, but they're not willing to step out of the boat or to take that extra step. And it is what it is. This is why I have learned that when you are doing good, everybody wants to be your friend. Everybody wants to be a part of it. People will support you. It's that they're riding that momentum, that energy that you're giving off. And this is so common. I mean, you'll see it in people that they're building a business, they're entrepreneurs. Oh, look at what they're doing. I want to be a part of that. It's like, it's, contagious. The excitement and the momentum and the drive and all this stuff is like, yeah. But if something happens, the judgment comes, and the, all of the condemnation and the guilt and the shame, and you stretch too big, you're going after something too big, you're living beyond your means, and all those, idioms or whatever those words come out of. You should be doing this, whatever. And it's like, but when you were taking those risks and when you were going after it, when you're taking those risks and you're climbing, they want to catch a ride on your climb. And when it gets bumpy, I don't know about this, I don't like this. Life is uncomfortable, uncertain. There's always things that happen. There's always something that it's never the same. You can't, things happen to everybody. It's going to be uncertain. You just have to enjoy the ride and enjoy the journey. That sounds super cliche, like enjoy the journey, but you have to embrace the difficulties. You have to embrace the bumpiness. You have to embrace the ride. Valleys, peaks, it's all part of that climb. It's all part of development. It's all part of pushing through. It's all part of building your character. It's all part of the refinement process that God wants to put you through. And he cares more about where you're going. He cares more about your character. He cares more about building your faith. He cares more about these important things than he does you being comfortable and you being, planning your whole life without him. The goal isn't to have a life independent from him. The goal is to be dependent on him with everything. Like, that's what faith and action is. It's a dependency. It's if God doesn't come through in this situation, that's it. I mean, think about all the stories in the Bible where they were like, the 3 Hebrews who got thrown into the fire. People think, it's just a story, but really think about that. Think about if God didn't show up, that was it, and it's just crazy to me how many people say one thing and do another. Say they want to make a difference in the world, but yet opportunities come and they don't take them. They don't want to make a difference. It's too uncomfortable for them. They only want to make a difference or do something if it's, fits into their box or fits into their, well, I'll give a little bit. Here's an example. There was a month where my family was struggling, and we went to a local church that we were going to, and somebody had offered, it was like you write your prayer request down, and my husband was going every single, morning to really lean into provision and everything. And somebody wrote down and everyone was writing their prayer request down. And one morning they said, miracles are going to happen. We're going to help answer some prayers. And they pulled out my husband's card. And they said, we're going to pay this person, we're going to pay, he didn't put an amount on there. He just said, we're going to pay this person's rent. Go see this guy in the back. He's going to take care of your rent. So my husband's like, no way. And they're like, yes way. And they picked like three, somebody's student loan, or whatever, a couple different things. So he goes and meets with this guy. The guy's like, I want to be a blessing to you. How much is your rent? He tells him how much the rent balance is. And the guy freaks out and says, no, I'm not doing this. And backs up. And I thought, what's the point of asking God to use you? You got that far, right? And then stopped because of like that amount. You put a cap on it. And it's interesting that if you're gonna ask God to use you in a way to make a difference, you better be prepared. You better be prepared for that. Like, otherwise, don't even do that. Because I felt bad that this guy, he wanted to bless, and I'm not judging or mad at him, but I'm like, you stopped your blessing because you didn't sow that seed. God told you to sow a seed into somebody else's life, whether it was us or someone else's prayer card or whatever, and he didn't. And how many times has God said or wanted you to cross the road? He wanted you to meet that person where they're at and help pull them into their new season, and you didn't do it. A few years ago, I helped a family they were traveling around in a van. I helped them with everything that they could have needed that I had the power to help them with. I'm not saying this in a bragging type manner. I'm saying it in a way where I had the ability to help them more than just a little bit. So if they needed kids clothes, I took her shopping, spent tons of money at Target. Get whatever you need. There was no cap at this point, because if I'm going to offer, unless I said pick what you want within this amount or whatever, but I said let's just get what you need. And she had the ability to go crazy, and she did. And I was happy to do it because I was so blessed that I could do that. There was no, I just spent all this money. No, it was like, get your kids PJs, get yourself some hygiene stuff, toilet paper, food. What do you need? What are you lacking? Let's get you set up. And not only that, I gave them tons of furniture, furnished their whole place, helped them with the place, gave them clothes, bought them clothes, food, even hired one of them to help with things that my family needed. It wasn't just a little bit. When God puts somebody in your life to help and to be the gap between where you're going, you got to go all in. So I understood my assignment. If I'm going to offer this family help, I got to know what I'm getting into. It could cost me thousands. And it did. Costed me over $20,000. And it was something I was prepared to do, to help them with. Now, part of it he worked, part of it he didn't. Part of it was just blessing. So you and I'm not going to change who I am just because other people aren't like that, because that's something that God wants you to bless. You're blessed. You are blessed to be a blessing. If things should flow to you and through you, it should never be stuck or stagnant. You have to allow things to flow through you. You're holding on to what? It's crazy that so many people, they're trust in their faith has to be in something that they can control. Has to be in their, their employer, their job, whatever form of security that they've created. But I'm here to tell you, you could lose all of that anyways. How many people have their securities in their house and their house value drops? Their securities in their 401k and they lose it. Their securities in their pension and they lose it. Their securities in their spouse and the spouse passes. You can't put your security in those things because they're always changing. You have to put your security in God. You have to. This is why you stay attached, because that's the only thing that doesn't change. He says he will walk with you through those storms. He will walk with you through all of those areas, through life, through the ups and the downs, the good times, the bad times, the hard times. He will walk with you. So you just stay. It's like that little kid hugging their dad's leg, and he's carrying them around. Just stay like that. Stay close. And while you're staying close, take action. Don't just sit around and wait. Don't just wait for something to happen. You have to keep moving. You've got to keep moving, especially if you have kids and they're relying on you, and you got to keep moving. So pivot as you need when you hit a wall, or you're like, okay, this way is not working. Sometimes things work for years and then it's not working anymore. Well, there's no grace on that anymore. Maybe God's trying to move you out of a season that used to bring you joy and peace and happiness and prosperity, and it's just not working anymore. You're like, I'm not in it anymore. I'm not there. You could pause, take a break, but sometimes it's his way of getting you out of the nest. Like, dude, I got more for you than this. Okay, you've passed that season. You can't stay in elementary school your whole life. You need to keep progressing. You need to keep growing and developing. And in order to do that, you got to stretch. You got to stretch up. It's easy to go back to the comfort. It's easy to go back to what you already know you can do. It's like, but just like a kid in school, you don't know the math problem yet. You have to figure it out. You're thinking. You're strategizing. You're making moves. You're thinking, if I do this, like a chess game. If I do this, I can do this or do this. That's good. Don't back away from that and be like, well, I shouldn't be. God's good. If God says it's so, it will be. Whatever's meant to be will be. That's a bunch of crap. You are in a position, if you're thinking whatever's meant to be will be, you're in a position for the devil to come in and be like, oh, well, this is what he's meant for you to be. And he comes in and deters and puts you. You have to be on guard all the time. Like, on guard that there's an enemy out there who wants to just destroy your life. Not just, and that could be just you, like not having a life. Could be you no purpose. It could be you destroying your life. Could be someone who's just distracted binge watching Netflix all the time. They're distracted with their Starbucks, and they're thrifting, and their Netflix, and they're laying around, and they're distracted with their stuff, and that's also it, because you're not awake. It's like it's like driving. Let's say you drive the same way to work every day. Most times you're probably like, how did I even get here? How am I here? Because you switched from your conscious thinking to your subconscious, almost like autopilot. You just got there by memory. But if somebody pulled out in front of you and slammed on their brakes, you would stop and be like, whoa, what just happened? Where did that happen? You immediately snapped out of it. Your conscious mind triggered and stepped in. That's the difference. When you are not using that conscious mind, and you're just living off of habit, and you're just living off of paradigm, and you're just living off of, well, this is how I do it. This is the way it is. This is, I do everything in this pattern, in this habit. You're not really living. You're just doing the same thing over and over, thinking that something's going to change. It's not. Things change when you change. You are the cause to the effect. It's not the other way around. I mean, it could be, but don't let it be. Don't wait for something to happen for you to change. I mean, that's a terrible way. That's like not taking care of your health until you're sick. Well, then the sickness caused you to change and take care of your health. Well, it would have been better if you took care of your health first before that sickness happened, right? This is what I mean when I say you have to be on guard. You have to be awake. You have to be like looking. You have to be You have to be aware of your surroundings. Like if you're in a grocery store parking lot at night, you better be aware of your surroundings. Don't just be looking at your phone. Don't focus on where you're parking, listening to music so loud. You have to be aware, especially in these times, because it's always the easiest, the ignorant, the naive, the ones that aren't paying attention. They're not really doing anything. That's when it's easy to take. I know when something's up in my life, when I'm like, okay, we're in the middle of a battle or there's something going on, because I'm so sensitive to it. I know when it's on its way. I can sense it months before it starts, that something's coming, that I need to brace. And in 2022, I was having conversation with some people, and the word that God kept putting in my mind was buckle up, buckle up, buckle up. And in 2023, when we lost our trucking business, boy, that really, really fit, because it was buckle up. And by buckle up, like it's time to hold on to faith. It's it's going to get bumpy. But God kept telling me, buckle up, buckle up, buckle up. But he made a way. He's walked with us. He's opened up doors that we could have never opened. And he's developed us. He's developed our character. He's refined us. We've built patience and faith and just so many things that me 3 years ago didn't have. I was living off autopilot, eating whatever I wanted, buying whatever I wanted, doing whatever I wanted. I was helping, like I said, so many people because I was so blessed. I was like, oh, I'll just help. But part of it was a point where I wasn't actually stewarding properly, because I was just like, there wasn't as much discernment. Now that I have some more refinement and discernment when it comes to that, I'm much more aware. For example, I'm not just going to go help a drug addict. Before, I would be like, yeah, I feel bad for them. They're struggling. I'd get manipulated really easily. Well, this person, and I'd give them money or whatever. And now I'm like, no, heck no. Because that person is in the same exact spot now that they were then, and that they were then 5 years ago from there, and 5 years ago from then. For the past 20 years, that person's in the same spot. Why would I keep helping somebody who's not willing to help themselves? And I understand, it doesn't happen right away. They're not going to help themselves. It's not like they wake up one day and they're changed. They need real intervention. But by sowing back into bad soil, I was only helping them produce bad fruit. I was contributing to the rotten fruit in their life. I don't want that. I don't want to be that. I'd rather not contribute to the rotten fruit. Now, if you see somebody who's really trying and they're struggling, but they're trying and they're doing their best and they're figuring things out and they never give up, that's good soil. There's a difference with sowing into people who may not look like they are in need, and sowing into people who are just, they're alcoholics, or they're lazy, or they're not doing anything to fix their circumstance, and they're drinking, and they're not clear-minded. One of the reasons why I decided not to have any alcohol, and I haven't been a big drinker since 2000, 10 years probably. Even then I wasn't a big drinker, but I was in my 20s. But I haven't had any alcohol in a year, not one glass. Because I thought, I want to be as crystal clear in my mind. I want to be sharp. I want to be able to hear what the Lord has for me. I want to have discernment. So I want to keep that connection clear. I don't want any fuzziness. That was one of the biggest reasons, was if I could just get that off the table and be done with it, why not? So I did. Plus, it's not good for your health anyways. So there's multiple benefits of it. And you're saving money. So those are just areas that I chose to streamline, that I don't want to compromise in, because I want God's best for my life, and I want him to use me in a great way. And I understand when I say that, what that means. Use me, Lord, to make a difference in my community, with people, in the world, in my sphere of influence. Let me make a difference in people's lives. I understand what I'm asking. And a lot of times, you do that. You go out of your way. You reach people. You're pulling people up. You're mentoring. You're coaching. You're helping. You're giving. You're pouring into people. Most of the time, you're left with nothing, because nobody's pouring into you except you and God, and you're walking alone. But those seasons don't last forever. And it's really built a lot of resilience in me where I'm very grateful for. So those are just some of the trials. I'm sharing this because I want you to know, like, everybody's life isn't perfect all the time. Mine's not perfect, even though this day is perfect. Look at, like, magical. I just love a beautiful fat cloud kind of day. Anyways, I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas, and keep on moving. Don't give up. Pivot when you need. Make the adjustments when you need. Don't beat yourself up when things don't go right. Just keep moving. Keep moving. Stay close to the Lord. He will direct your steps. And have a great day.